Today I'm going to share the single most important thing you need to do with your financial planning. My name is Nick Murphy. If we haven't met yet, I run Counterweight Private Wealth, which is a wealth planning firm here in Raleigh, North Carolina. And I actually had a completely different video prepared for today. And this is really just off the cuff because I went a complete 180 because this has really been heavy on my heart lately. And some of this stems from a conversation I had with a client the other day. Because we were talking about his investments and such, and he was asking, hey, should we maybe invest here or here? And I kind of was sensing that there really wasn't a purpose behind it. He just wanted to grow his investments more. And I sat and I asked him, I said, Bill, which is not his real name, by the way, Bill, you have plenty of money. You're not going to run out of money, ever. Most of this is going to be passed on to your kids. And we can sit and we can talk about whether to buy this or sell that. What's it all for? And he just stopped. And I caught him off guard. And he didn't really have an answer. And I said, because if you think about it, if we're just making investment moves or something without a purpose behind it, why are we doing anything? And I'm often asked in this role, questions like, am I on track? Or questions like, hey, the market's going to rebound. And when someone asks me, am I on track? If you have to peel back the onion a little bit. And if you do, you find out that they really are just asking for some level of validation. And if I peel it back even farther, what I find is they're asking some level of validation that is the next chapter of their story going to be purposeful? Is the next chapter of their life going to have a more significant purpose and value to it? Because after all, that's what all of this is linked to. So I got thinking about that, and I'll be honest, most of the general population, when they do financial planning, they're looking at arbitrary things like, can I retire at 60? Or, hey, I want to send my kids to college. And those are all honorable and those are good. And we can certainly plan for them. But those markers should be a byproduct of a more broad, unified, clear vision for what is the purpose. So in a minute, I'm going to give you several questions you really need to ask yourself before you start planning. Okay? Because if I'm right, most people, and that might be many of you out there, most people are going through their financial life planning for various different goals and objectives without giving a lot of thought to what's the purpose. And that may be a struggle, and that's not something that you might be able to answer in this quick video. But if we don't start there, what's it all for? In my view, that purpose should all be intertwined with how are we going to grow and give and love and lead. What in your life are you doing for that purpose? And how is your financial planning affairs interwoven with that? And my fear is that most people's financial plans are not really interwoven with any of that. So here's the questions I think you should ask yourself. And I'll be honest, if you're working with an advisor or something that's not really focusing much on the core purposes, I'd suggest maybe talking to someone else who does, who maybe gets you more. And there's a lot of good ones out there. So here's the questions I think you need to start with. Number one, how do I want to spend my time? Number two, what do you value most? Third, what risks are you most concerned about? Number four, how do you want to be remembered? Number five, how do you want to give back? And number six, in what ways do you want to positively impact the lives of those you love? If you can start with those six, write them down. And if you can start with those 6 questions, and it might take a little time to think through that, and you may need to talk to your family members and loved ones and spouse. But once you can start identifying some of those core purposes, then everything else is going to start feeding into that. You can't develop a financial plan unless you've identified that to know how we're orienting every decision to. So I hope some of this just off the cup passions of my heart will resonate. This for me is a calling, and I want to make sure that what we're doing is enough to educate and inform people that they can make their own smart decisions about how to manage their financial affairs. And it's got to start here. If you're interested in any more content that we send out, feel free to subscribe and like. And I look forward to seeing you in future videos. Thanks.